Welcome to STL City Showdown. I'm AJ, and this is Steve. No, it's not. What is that? No? You're done. What, you didn't like this game? This wasn't the most beautiful game of football you've ever seen?
I mean, if you were an LA fan or a Tottenham fan, yes, it was an amazing match. By the way, the radio broadcast guys were talking how much black and gold and Tottenham was in the stands tonight. Like, there was quite a bit. And in fact, when they showed the throw-ins, I would say the corners, but we only had like two, so we don't really have an opportunity to see those. But every time they showed a throw-in, I saw LAFC gear and Tottenham gear, which that's wild. I get Son who he is, but like they kind of sort of took over the stadium tonight.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. I guess I was watching the game, not the stands, but okay.
Well, it was a better scenery. Yeah. All right.
True.
Yeah. Man, I gotta ask you something. So this is 2 years in a row where we're missing the playoffs, and it's kind of abysmal. We are in this kind of suck vortex right now. I got to ask you something. Does this feel good? Does this feel good right now as a fan?
Yeah, no, not really.
So it doesn't feel good. What if I were to offer you something to kind of fix the way you feel right now? Would that be right?
Are we talking about drugs again?
It could be. It could be
Steve,
again.
say no to drugs. Come on.
It keeps me going.
You're definitely a millennial.
It keeps me happy.
Oh, okay. Okay. In that case, it's okay.
Yeah. But anyway, what if I were to offer you the following scenario? No more losing seasons as a City fan for the next 30 years. For the next 30 years, you'll never have another losing season. But the monkey paw situation is coming. You will never win the MLS Cup. You may get as high as, say, the Cup game. You'll definitely make in the playoffs every year. You're definitely having a postseason. Definitely winning more games everywhere. But you're never going to win the Cup. So, or you just kind of let it ride and we'll figure it out as we go. So, do you want to never feel what we're feeling now again? Knowing the direction of the team is not great. It's going to be probably at least another season or maybe two before we can feel real success. You can fix it right now, but never win the Cup, or just let it go.
So this is kind of a similar question where people will say, okay, if you were guaranteed you win the championship, but for the next decade your team was like literally the worst team in the league, would you trade it? And what people will usually say is, of course, I'll trade for the championship. But the thing is people forget how bad it is watching a crappy team like this. Because the thing is we want to see good games. We want to have fun. And imagine winning the championship and having 9 years of a bad team. Like Cardinals are trying to do that right now.
Yeah.
Is it fun watching it? No, you don't even care about the Cardinals anymore because of how bad they are, or at least, theoretically. So the hard part about this scenario is you're saying we'll never have a losing season. We'll even maybe get to the championship game, but just not win it. I mean, you're talking about a lot of fun games to watch, and you're going to have one heck of a team. But also, part of the whole point of a season and playoffs is to literally win the Cup. Or you said the other option is literally rolling the dice. So literally, you could say, well, we could be a horrible team for the next decade and not even have a winning season, more or less winning the Cup, or we have a chance of winning the Cup. There's other tournaments to win, fortunately, in soccer.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go actually for the winning team, even though the purpose isn't there, right? I assume the players wouldn't know this. This is just like a little monkey paw situation, as you said. Like, only I knew this. I think I would take the fun and just seeing our team like really kick butt and everything and whatever. I would just hope that maybe we win some other, CONCACAF tournaments and stuff like that.
So there's actually, as we were talking, there's actually a real world example of that. New York Red Bull have the current longest active playoff streak. They have made the playoffs for 14 or 15 years in a row. And they're the longest men's team to do it. And they're at risk of ending that this year. They're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. But so for the last 15 years, they've made the playoffs every single year, but they have never won. In fact, they're one of the original MLS teams, and they've never won. So 30 years, they've never won a cup. But for the last 15 years, they've gotten that scenario. They've made the playoffs. They've had playoff-ready teams, but they've never won. In fact, they made it to the MLS Cup last year. So maybe in 2010 or 2010. What is time? Someone grabbed someone at the New York Red Bull and said, I'm going to give you this scenario. And someone took that scenario, didn't think it would matter. Now, the other side, imagine being an LA Galaxy fan. You won the cup last year, and now you're going to probably get the spoon. You are going from the champion to the worst. Remember the Rams, the St. Louis Rams, this was a really cool thing St. Louis had one time. Kids, sit around. St. Louis had not one, but 2 NFL teams. We had two. All right. They went from worst to first. LA Galaxy is going the other way. They're going first to worst. And it's just like, I don't think that's ever, I think if they do win the spoon, there's never been a champion in a major league that went from winning the championship to being the absolute worst in their league the very next year. This will be the first time it's ever happened.
So question. Do you win the spoon or do you lose the spoon when you get it?
You lose your way to win it.
Okay.
So I guess you would have to say is you are awarded the spoon. I guess that would be the right terminology.
Awarded, yes. Let's go with that.
Awarded
Okay.
the wooden spoon.
So, Steve, I would have to say, like, if I'm an LA Galaxy fan, like, I'm not happy with this, but at least you still had the championship, like, in your club history, especially recently. If you told me St. Louis next year would win the cup, and then the following year they would be the worst in the league, I would say, sign me up. Absolutely. Right? But if you say for sure that they're going to be a crap team for the next 9 years, nobody wants to sign up to purposely watch 9 years of bad team.
Right.
Like, we're struggling watching this year, right? Can you imagine 9 years of this? There'd be no fan base.
Cheap tickets.
Yeah, they'd be paying you to come to the games. Free hot dogs.
Oh my God. You can be the coach for 20 minutes a game. Be like the St. Louis Browns. They're all the little gimmicks they did to get the fans in the stands. All right. Oh my God. So I guess we probably need to talk about this game. But you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't want to come up with anything. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring in a friend. I'm going to bring in the Wheel of Doom. And the Wheel of Doom is going to pick our topics for us. So those of you that are listening or watching, AJ and I, like most podcasters, professional people, we have pre-production meetings. And we were messaging earlier like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I said, what if we do the wheel again? Because that was really cool. And AJ said, yeah, let's just come up with topics. I was like, fine. So like, we're just throwing it out there. So I came up with like maybe 10, 12 different topics we could discuss before the game. So let's see what the wheel decides we're going to talk about.
Ooh, sound effects.
Yeah. So key moment to you. What was the key moment of the match? Now this is snap kind of thinking. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I kind of know what it is.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah. Okay, so it has to be the first goal. It has to be the first goal. Were you going to say that too?
I really was.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
I really was.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh yeah, you guys didn't pre-plan this. Of course this was pre-planned. Okay. Yeah, it has to be the first goal, right? Because so the thing is I always say this about sports, and you guys probably have said this too, is that if you play well, but your opponent just makes a magical move, especially if you're on defense, a defense can't do anything when the offense executes perfectly in any sport, right? If this was LAFC just beating our amazing defense because they made even more amazing move, I say, tip your hat and you just say, okay, good job, and you keep going on. But this, we literally pretty much passed back to them.
Yeah, Valum just
and then
did
they
a poor
scored.
job.
I mean, what were you thinking?
I was genuinely thinking that because it set the tone for the match. You had a sloppy pass, and you had a great pass to Bouanga, who just lasered the ball right past Berkey. You could also say Son's first goal, where it was another sloppy play and it led to him coming down and he did the same thing. And they just knifed through that defense and he just rocketed it in there. And it's just like, there we go. But it just, for me, it was that first goal because 1-0 against a team like LA seems like 7-0. It seems like you're not crawling out of it. And all you could hope for is to draw. And we're at home and all you could hope for is a draw. And even I listened to the local broadcast and even Dale, as soon as it happened, he's like he just exhaled. And it was just, there was nothing at that point. So for me, that was the key moment of the entire match was that. And unfortunately, it had to be the other team scoring because it was an awful play by us, an amazing goal by a person who's still in it to win the Golden Boot. So, Absolutely. And it just put a dagger in our season because I looked. One of the teams that had to lose today to keep us in contention, they were losing during our match. So we had a chance to guide our own destiny. Now, RSL is currently winning, so they are going to that was going to bump us out anyway, but we had a chance to control our own destiny, and we just decided not to. It was bad. So that was our...
You would rather get knocked out because somebody else won, not because you lost.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's see.
All right. Hit us, Steve.
Let's do it again. So I took out the key moment, so we can't get that one again. Let's see, what's it? Okay. So, fun fact about the games. During this game, something happened. What is a fun fact that you can pull out of this game?
I don't know. What do you got, Steve? That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm thinking a fun fact for me is 6. And the number 6 was yellow cards by City players. We had 6 yellow cards tonight. And that was fun because, like, the first one with Sang Bin was just a travesty of a yellow card because the goalie came out of his box and made contact with the defender. That should have been a yellow or a red card on him. But yet we got the yellow card. And it just kind of piled on from there. And it's one of those things where it seems like every time we're losing big, our team decides to puff up their chest a little bit towards the end of the game and start a little mini brawl. And it seemed to happen again. So to me, that full fun fact was that we just had so many of the tail cards, and I don't think Chris Durkin had any of them. I think that's our fun fact. There's all those yellow cards were given.
No way.
And I don't believe Durkin had one. I don't remember seeing his name out there. So, and Kyle Hebert made an appearance tonight. Like, Kyle Hebert shows up again. So that was fun.
At Totland.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my fun fact, if we're using stats here, would have to be the expected goals, because I think each expected goals tells a story. So, for instance, LA's expected goals was 1.76, but they scored 3. What does that tell us? If you score more than your expected goals, that means you have great finishing or the defense is extremely poor, right? And if you have more expected goals, like what we did, so 0.56, that's it. We didn't even hit 1, so 0.56. And you have less, that means you just can't finish or you're not getting good attempts, aka like the defense is in the way, you're just kind of shooting the shoot. And that's what I kind of pull for us. So the fun fact here is just showing how much more clinical LA was with their finishing and how poor our defense was.
Yeah, how poor our defense was a good point. Yeah, so let's see. All right. Let's do the next one. Goodbye, fun fact. All right, a big miss. Talk about something that happened in maybe a big goal miss, maybe a big miss in the run of play. Maybe there was a pass that you're like, we could have had at that time. So what was a big miss for you in this match?
Oh, man. Holy crap, dude. Like, if we're really looking at, there's multiple here, right? Mm-hmm. So if we talk about a big miss, right? And this is more on the defensive passing side. We already talked about the Valen one. So we're just going to kind of put that on the shelf because we've already talked about it. The other one, I guess, when I think it was Celio that passed to Klaus that had that goal, which would have been amazing, but unfortunately it was offsides. That's one of those things that's kind of tough because I think he could have kept himself on sides and still have made that kind of play. I mean, we don't know unless it actually happened. I think that was kind of a miss there. If I have to say overall, like a general concept, our missing was our passing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else is on the wheel there, but I'll probably mention the passing a little bit later and some of the things I noticed. But what do you think was missed?
Yeah, I think the big miss was just the shots tonight. Like we had 3 or 2 shots on target tonight. And we're kind of slipping back into where we just were inept. And I think that's kind of, I mentioned to you, where we were just kind of toothless, and it just seemed like maybe the misses, that effort we didn't see for most of the season, where the team wasn't running for the ball, the team wasn't fighting for position, the team wasn't really, there wasn't seem to be a fight. I think we're missing that intensity is what I can say in this match, because we really didn't have many shots. The passing was off, but like that intensity was missing. That was just bad. All right, let's see. Boop. Got a few left.
What else is left on the wheel?
Let's find out.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's talk about the ref. How do you think the ref crew did tonight? How do you think that they performed?
Yeah, I'm actually going to say, from what I could tell, they actually seemed like they did a pretty good job. There was this possible handball, and they correctly identified, no, that wasn't a handball. I mean, how many times have we seen that go against St. Louis?
Yes.
So I felt like they did it well. I felt like all the cards were appropriate.
Yeah.
This is going to be controversial. You ready for a controversial thing here?
Hit me, Daddy.
I know. And this is against our own team. I would have given Klaus a red card.
When he just kind of ripped that guy down at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a freaking linebacker tackle, like without wrapping him up. So the thing is right, like a red card is when somebody does something that's like rough and it's like a non-football move. It's almost quote unquote dangerous. And in that case, right, that a yellow card was kind of weak there, right? A yellow card to me is like when you're making a football move, but you're a little bit careless and reckless, right? But he went, and I think the ball wasn't even near the guy, and he basically just trucked them because he was angry at him. That's a red card.
And you can see in the replay, because like whenever that first happened, you saw the scrum, and you couldn't really tell what happened. But you can see that Klaus just checked this guy and just plowed him on the ground. And the guy got up, and of course he was pissed off because he got bodied over nothing. And then Klaus was somehow offended that a guy was upset that he got thrown to the ground, and that almost seems like that's what got Klaus the yellow card, was not the initial hit. I guess we'll have to see. But like, I've done like full ref reports, and I would like to get back to them. And this referee, he's one of the more fair ones, and he's one of the more balanced refs that we have in the league. But like that first call against St. Ben, that was kind of ridiculous. Gave St. Ben,
I forgot about that,
the yellow card. And 3 minutes in, and now we've got a yellow card on the books. And it shouldn't have happened that way. It seemed the rest of the game was fine. Like, I think the ref was even when you look at the social media afterwards, and all the complaints, none of them are about the ref. Like, people weren't saying that we got jobbed, the refs were clearly against us, yada, yada, yada. It was all about the team. So I think the best referees are kind of invisible, and that's how it seemed tonight.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a few more here. All right, let's see. Gotcha. Okay. Who was your standout player tonight? Who was your standout player?
Oh, man. Can I even pick?
I mean, they don't have to wear red.
Okay, so that's honestly, that's the thing. So Son was, our Korean opponent. I would have to say that he would have to be the standout player. I mean, who else would you literally pick? I mean, on St. Louis, I literally cannot name you one player. I would give a A or a solid B, maybe a B minus at best.
It was amazing how little you saw Hartle on the field tonight. And I'm pretty sure he played all 90. Or he played all 90.
He did. He did.
Barely saw that cat. And the only time I remember ever seeing him was on our defensive end. I don't remember seeing him in the attack. Well, we didn't see anyone on the attacking side tonight. I don't know. You've seen the tactics. I would love to see any kind of charting to show how much time we spent in the attacking third, or like in the final 18, like how much time were our bodies in LA's. And it couldn't have been more than 15 minutes for the entire game. So I'll have to say mine as well is Son, because he was electric out there, and you can see like the money that they spent to get him there, and that's what he's for. And
Absolutely.
finally, like Bouanga they're probably going to win the cup if Seattle doesn't win. It's either going to the cup's coming out of the West. Sorry, all my Miami people. They won on Wednesday. They drew today. It's coming out of the West, and it's not going to be Philadelphia. It's either going to be Seattle or LA. Put a stamp on it. LA is going to win the cup 2 years in a row. That'll be amazing. That'll be amazing. But it's going to come out there, and it was him. It was him because it was an amazing thing to see this EPL player just run a roughshod over our guys, and that sucks to say, but it's just what it is. So that was my standout player. Let's see, we'll do one more, and if we don't like it, we'll skip it. Okay. Can you pick any weird moments in the match?
Was there even any weird moments?
I guess the start of the match when we had to play, that was kind of weird. Like, I don't remember seeing anything obscene other than like the weird foul at the beginning of the match with the yellow card. That was kind of weird. That was kind of out of the ordinary, you could say. I would say our defenders deciding to do poor back passes and allow 2 goals. That was pretty weird. I wouldn't expect that in a major league game. I think if I were to see that in person, I would go, well, that's a very weird thing to do. Why would you do that, Conrad? You don't give the ball to a player. That's a big, weird move. So, yeah, I would think that would be a weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah,
it was
makes
weird
sense to
to
me.
see the stands empty after the second half for a sellout match. That stadium got empty quick. Everyone had things to do tonight, and none of those were sitting in the stand in downtown St. Louis.
It was like a Florida Marlins game.
Yes, y'all, you need to go back and look at that. If you didn't notice it, go back. And because what soccer stands do is they randomize the coloring of the stands so that the pattern doesn't stick right out if there's empty seats. And so a lot of those seats, they look like they were full just because of the way that the patterning is. But those are empty seats. There are a ton of, and it was really evident in the supporter section. Giant gaps in between. But you can see it in the stands, especially on, I don't know if that's the east or the west side, where the big white city is painted on the stands. You could see it clearly there. It's just all of a sudden, if you paid attention, it was dead ass empty. That was weird to see. That's what I would say. For a team that celebrated their 1 millionth fan coming into the stands today, so the 1 million tickets, which is weird. I kind of thought about that. It used to be, it was turnstiles, right? As that 1 millionth person, but now it's all digital tickets. So that must have just been somebody drew the golden ticket like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. When they clicked on that buy their ticket, they just happened to be the 1 millionth person that the 1 millionth ticket sold. And you didn't know until they scanned it in. But it kind of takes the fun out of it. You don't hear the turnstile go click, 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 pop. And then and then it was already predetermined. They knew the name of the person. They had to know the name of the person. They know what she looks like because of all the surveillance. And it was all ready. And they probably could track her coming in on her phone. They probably even knew what entrance she was coming in. And so they were ready for her. And they knew exactly who she was going to be. But for a team that celebrated the 1 millionth fan tonight, those fans got gone quick. When you go down 2-0 at the half.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do one more real quick. I'll just say, what was your best goal of the night? What was the best goal you saw? Clearly there is no city goal, but which of the 3 from the LAFC would you say was the best goal?
Man, that's kind of a tough one because I felt like all these goals were basically because of our failures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I have to pick one, let's see, it was the third one. Yeah, I would have to say the third one because it was kind of a sneaky little shot. It was kind of far, probably the farthest you could be in the box in the center. He was kind of dribbling around some guys, and then he just kind of shoots it. I would have to say that because to some extent that was also earned. Like that wasn't just the defense doing poor there. it was also, he made a good move.
Yep.
That's one of those you kind of tip the hat and say, good job. So I would have to pick that third goal.
Yeah, I think mine is still Boanga's. Just the way he just rocketed that ball in there. That was just amazing. That just really put a dagger in the night. As soon as the game started, it was just like, oh, yep, we're done. So that, for me, that was my favorite goal. All right, that was Wheel of Doom. Question.
Yeah, so let's do a quick little thing. So we don't do tons of analytics. Let's just take a moment for some musings. And I'm going to give you my first little musings of the game and why I think we failed.
Muse away, champ.
Okay. So hear this out.
I'm hearing.
I think what we failed at is primarily the passing. Now, you had mentioned that we didn't get to attacking third. We didn't really have offensive shape. And the reason why is because we couldn't progress the ball. If you watch, right, what they're taught to do is that you always have outlets. You basically make a triangle. So anytime somebody has the ball, you basically have somebody behind him and in front of him, like off to the sides, that he can pass to at any given time. That way, you always have somebody, hopefully, you could progress the ball to, and then also progress the ball backwards if you need like a safety outlet, right? And what I kind of started noticing is that what LA did really good is they went towards the ball and they swarmed. There was a lot of times where our ball carrier would essentially have 3 LAFC players surrounding him, and what inevitably happens? They choke up and they give the ball away. So a couple things. One, we took way too long to make passes. 2, LAFC did a great job at clogging up those lanes. And then 3, our players weren't making those lanes available, because that's the thing. The players that don't have the ball, they have to move to open up those lanes.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see that as much. And that's something that I actually very much appreciated in the last couple, 2-3 games, is that Critchley seemed to really be enforcing that. And we saw a lot of quicker passes. We saw a lot of open lanes. Things were progressing. But LFC, they killed us in that.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, you can't have an offense if you can't get through the midfield. Midfield is always the key. What's your musings for these games?
Yeah.
Or this game?
The team didn't pass the eyeball check. Just looking at the passing, looking at, as soon as we got to the final third, it just fell apart. Like you just saw, I don't know where they got these players from. They morphed out of the ground as soon as we got close to their attacking third. And all of a sudden, the defense knew exactly where to be, and we were able, they just swallowed us up, as you said. And every time they came down, they just looked like a machine. And they knew exactly where they were going to go. They had a plan. Dale on the radio broadcast, he had commented, we have no attacking shape right now. And it looks like my daughter plays in a rec league. And they probably had in their head, both their coaches were missing. So dad stepped up and became the coaches today. They probably had more of a game plan than Critchley and his team had today for this team. And it was just a bunch of 11-year-olds just running around and barely touching the ball. And it looked a little more organized than what we saw today. So I would love to be able to see some advanced stats to be able to look at what exactly went wrong. But man, this whole team just went wrong.
So, Fall, right? The one thing I noticed on his very first game, and I think we've all been noticing now, is that he keeps having careless passing. And did you catch that one pass where he kind of choked it up because it was kind of like a weakly kicked ball and he gave it up? It seems like every time he's on the field, he does this. And I'm starting to wonder, he makes these amazing defensive moves. And I would say most casual players, if you say how good is Fall, they're going to say, oh, he's great because they see him making these amazing moves. But if you look, he every game, there's always a pass that he gives up to the opponent. And what sucks is it's not in our attacking third where it's pretty benign. It's literally in our defensive third.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a risk. I mean, he's an amazing defender, except for these passing.
Just looking over some of the stats, I was amazed. I said, I barely saw Hartle on the on film tonight. Joao Klaus had the least touches of any player on the field tonight. Any of the players out in the outfield, he had the least amount of touches. He only touched the ball 42 times tonight, and that's not going to do it. So, again, I don't think that's him. That's no one passing the ball to the striker. And it's going to be interesting if we get a sporting director, what kind of moves that they make with all these contracts that are coming up.
Ooh, my turn for a question. You asked me the hypothetical question.
I'm gonna stroke my
So
beard.
this is a little less hypothetical, more practical, right?
I like that.
So what are we doing about the coach and sporting director? So, like, let's start with the sporting director here. Let's say you're the ownership, okay?
The ownership.
What are we looking for? There was a rumor about this, I forgot what team, ELP team that it was, the Premier League, a tactical coach, whatever his name was. Would you want somebody like that? Or would you want somebody in MLS or somebody outside of the MLS that's maybe an equivalent league? Or do you want somebody from like the USL? Like, what are you looking for and why?
There we go. His name is, his last name is Brentford. Oh, it's Brentford technical director Lee Dykes. So Lee Dykes over in Brentford. Man, so part of their leadership team at that Brentford, I actually looked it up a little bit the day it was announced, pulled them out of relegation into the Premier League again. So like he was part of that team, that leadership team that took the Brentford from that relegation all the way they got them promoted, and they've been there and they've stayed promoted. So if I have a chance to get a technical director that is able to come in with that track history and he's wants to be here, I will pay him to come here because the MLS is a different monster but I don't think there would be as much pressure on him as there is in the EPL. If that cat would come here and he's got good vision, give him the reins, because we had a guy that had cool hair and with a pretty cool accent, and we thought that he was going to be the guy. Turns out he didn't know what he was doing. Turns out I had no idea what he was doing. So yeah, got to try something. As long as they've got a winning track record, that's what I say. What about you?
Okay, so I'm going to have some follow-up questions on this because this is a lot of people are kind of wondering, oh yeah, we should get this guy. So he's never been a sporting director and he's only been a tactical coach. Should we get somebody who does not have a true sporting director experience?
I would say if we've got this cat here versus some fired guy in MLS, who am I taking? Like, I'm not taking another MLS washout. I will take my chances on someone that kind of looks like they know what they're doing and kind of hope him up a little bit. But if there is a MLS technical director that just wants out and they're not been fired and they're not one of the 3 teams below us, then yeah, I would rather have a guy who has the connections here that can get players here. But my God, if we could get players that are not in some second or third rate German Bundesliga club, that would be so far out amazing. Like I would relish having some one or singular name players come over. And that's a connection that they could have. So it's hard. I get it, but like we just want to win more than 6 games a year.
So let me give you my thoughts. So I'm going to give you pros and cons of each. So let's say you get this EPL tactical director guy. Here's the pros. 1, you get somebody who's literally Premier League behind his name, right? It's kind of like getting a doctor from Hopkins or Mayo Clinic or something like that, right? Like the name means something. Now, also, it might make it easier to recruit other players when you have an EPL like quality guy coming in as your sporting director. So it might help with our recruitments. The con of this guy is that he doesn't have any true experience. The other con is that MLS, more so than many leagues, if not most of them, has very convoluted salary and stuff like that. Now, you could argue that maybe if he has a consultant, maybe they can get through it together. Yeah. He could still make the decisions, like figuring out how to construct the roster, but then you just have a consultant go through like all the roster requirements, the GAM, TAM, DP and stuff like that. That's something. The other con is that in the Premier League, they have unbelievable. The problem with the MLS, you're basically restricted. Instead of saying, okay, you can spend as much as you want on your team to like a pseudo salary cap, right? Here in MLS, you're like, oh yeah, you can spend as much as you want on 3 players,
Right.
but then you can kind of spend more on TAM. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, another thing to kind of look at is with the MLS potential, you kind of mentioned the big con is you're going to get a lot of washout people who were fired that couldn't hack at another team. That's a problem. The only pro is that maybe you could find somebody who maybe had a bad ownership group or just had a bad string of luck. You'd have to get lucky.
Yeah.
Now the bonus of like a USL or a lower league tier sporting director is if somebody had success and is on the up and up, you might be able to grab somebody who actually is trending on a positive direction. However, they're unproven at this level.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have the pool like a Premier League guy would.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
I would say that, so with the money, I think Miami is kind of smashing some of this stuff. And I think the only way you're going to get some premier players is by having either a premier technical director or a premier head coach. Like Messi wouldn't have come over if Tata didn't come with him. They fired their head coach in order to bring Tata with him. And then they brought some of the other guys with them. It's all cost a lot of money. You know, is Beckham their sporting? He's one of the, I don't know if he's their sporting, I don't think he's their sporting director, but so they made that decision. So, but we're not going to get a premier head coach without premier ownership or a premier sporting director. So we have to kind of land one of those somehow, or just a really strong one. Like, I mean, I look at Seattle. Seattle's got a very long history. Portland's been good for a while. And you've got a lot of these established teams that probably don't have to have a big splash in order to get players, in order to get culture. We don't have that.
Excellent.
We don't have that.
True.
You know, if we had a sporting director who knew his head from his ass, we would probably still have Bradley Carnell here. And Bradley Carnell is about to lead Philadelphia, which has a very strong culture, to the Shield. They're probably going to win the Shield. I watched them play today, and it was energy drink soccer the entire game. And that's exactly what he brought. And that's exactly what the team was supposed to be. But for whatever reason, we allowed it to fall apart. And he's got a couple of our players on his team, and they're just doing what they should. So I think we need a sporting director that's not going to make that kind of dumb mistake. And I think we have to land this, where it's from, either EPL or the MLS or question mark. I think it has to be one of those two. It cannot come from some South African team or league. It can't come from some Switzerland league. It needs to be something with some sort of heft to it. At least this time, like set the culture, and then we can kind of bring in some established people that won't cost an arm and a leg. If we care. This is you and me talking. We're not talking about billionaires that own this team that don't care as long as the money keeps flowing in. As long as the money keeps flowing in, they will bring in anyone that can do just good enough to maybe come back to our monkey paw situation, where hoping that we can just be good enough to make the playoffs each year, and that's all they care about, is just getting that money. They don't care about a cup. They don't care about that.
Well, we're going to find out. Literally, here's the best part, Steve, is that we're going to find out this offseason how serious they are. They have like 2.5 million of GAM, and I think that rolls over to next year, plus whatever money that they have for next year. I think Kloss gets knocked down to a TAM player, so you have a DP slot open. We're going to see. We're literally going to see how serious they are about this.
Yep.
Simple.
Yep. You got to have a sporting director. So it'll be interesting to see who that person is, because they got to make those calls. You can't have Diego, businessman, making those calls. Not anymore.
No way. Yeah, he's next on the chopping block.
All right. Do you have any goal or no goals?
I actually do not. What about you?
I got a couple. All right. So on the Discord,
hit me.
Goal or no goal? Tapatudo says, at this point, I wouldn't even keep Leuven, talking about clearing house. If this team showed the passion McSorley shows and was still ass cheeks, different story. They take for granted that this many people show up to watch this mediocrity. So a goal or no goal. We're clearing house. We're even kicking Lou into the curb.
And that was against a lower. The problem is we saw what he was like this game, right? He didn't have much of a factor, just like many of our other players. The thing is right, like just because we saw a little flash in the pan doesn't all automatically mean he's going to be some amazing player. Like we should expect better. Now, I'm not saying that McSorley isn't going to turn into a great player, right?
No.
But we can get better. We literally have the funds to do so. Do better.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go no goal on that as well. Leuven had the most successful tackles tonight on the entire pitch, and he would have gotten one of our quiet player beers from last week. Like he was out there putting in the work.
Yep.
All right, I got another one here from Reddit. Fort Collins dude says it was good that Sang-Bin pulled back his cleats before the contact. That's probably what held the contact to a yellow card. He was a step late on the play. That very first one where he got a yellow card. Goal or no goal. Sang-Bin was lucky he didn't get a red card.
When I first saw the replay, I was like, oh crap, did he have his studs up? And I guess he didn't. So yeah, I would say absolutely good call. And this Fort Collins dude, by the way, I feel like we quote him like him or her, like every other game.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, goal for you, Fort Collins dude.
Yeah, I say goal as well. Good chat, little fella. Let's see. From the Discord, I got one more. Show and Kill says, what's it like to have players that score? So goal or no goal, scores would be nice.
Well, I'm thinking maybe no goal, but yeah, it's a goal.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Speaking of that, we have 2 more matches before we have to go back and review our preseason predictions. Remember those? Remember that magical time of February where we were tricked into thinking this team was going to be... Hey, guys, I got to tell you, someone on this feed right here thought that we were going to win the West. One of us here thought we might win the West, and I'm not going to say which one it was, but one of us thought that we could win the West this year. One of us is really, I guess, cocky, and I guess we're gonna find that out because it was bad. It's gonna be bad.
If I can't remember, I think I said like the low fees for points or something.
Oh, dude, I know I said close to 70 points. I know I said north of 50 points. Oh my God. With nothing else has changed on this team. I don't know what I thought. I guess I thought that. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know what about the coach, the new head coach, Olaf, I thought was going to make a change. Everyone knew he was a center back. No one thought that he was going to go all center backs, but my God, I can't wait to review that and just egg on face.
So bad.
Yeah, we got to get Andre back on here to be held to account as well. Because I think we all were a little high on this team. And boy, it's going to show.
A little high?
A little high.
Man.
I mean, I want to say before we did that prediction, I thought that the team would finish like 4th or 5th. But I must have snorted a whole line of hopium. I was like, no, man, we're going to win. I was all cranked up, man. We're going to win the West. We're going to finish no lower than 3rd. I think I said no lower than 3rd.
Oh, Steve, this is so bad.
Yep, and now we're officially out of the playoffs.
Oh, officially out.
When was it? I would like to know when, at what point in the season last year was the dream over? Like, did we get eliminated from contention last year? Was it this late in the season? I want to say it was before this, where we knew it was happening before then, but, we still have 2 games we have to play. I think is Austin out of the playoffs already? Let me check real quick.
Yeah, well, I think at this point, these last 2 games are a couple things, right? It's a farewell to probably a third of our team, if not half of our team, right? So we're going to see some of these players for last time wear the uniform, and we say, adios, Durkin.
So here's the problem. We're going to say adios to Berkey. Okay, so Austin is very much a playoff team. Austin is playing for a playoff spot. They are right now. They are in 6th place, so we're gonna go down to their stadium next week and get murdered because they definitely don't want to. They want more home games, and then of course we're finishing off with RSL at home, which RSL they're not going to make the playoffs either this year. But yep, oh my goodness. Well, we have no more games that matter. So guess what? I guess we have to look at moral victories now.
Yeah, we're pretty much moral victories, and this is what we call almost like friendlies.
Oh God, exhibitions. You might want to say a cinnamon.
Yeah,
a cinnamon. How do you say that? A cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, words are hard. Especially words are hard.
Just like scoring goals.
Yeah, well, for some teams. All right, you ready? Ready to send this out?
Yeah.
All right, if you stuck with us this long, you guys know what to do. Grab your little person, put them on your shoulder, jump up, and go, all for City, baby! Chris Perkins forever!